is not a drill. You can officially start panicking. There are 3 Western teams in the semifinals and no teams from Korea. 0 zilch from the LCK. That's just what's happening in 2018. Welcome to League on Lock. My name's Eric, and it was a barn burner of action over the weekend in quarterfinals. 3 out of the 4 were upset, some to varying degrees. Obviously, the likes of KT and RNG, who were locks to at least one of them get to the finals. They were the 2 favorites for the entire event, not even making it to the top 4. The dream year for RNG does not come to fruition, and Score is not grabbing another title or trophy to put on his mantle. Instead, 3 European and NA teams in the semifinals. That hasn't happened since, Season 1, when that tournament wasn't really a real thing at Worlds. But we're going to go through all the games, look at some key moments and key plays that changed the shape of the entire series. We'll start off with what the first game of the weekend was, KT versus IG. And on paper, this was the most exciting matchup because it's too early for these 2 teams to be playing. IG was still probably looked at as a top 4, at worst 5 team in the entire event, taking on KT. And if KT came back, obviously what you'd think the key play would be the ending of that game 3, which was obviously a historically incredible ending. And if KT wins that series, then that play is probably the turnaround for KT in that series because they come back. But instead, we're looking at later on in that game 5, and it's Jackie Love who completely pops off and was the standout guy for IG. But obviously, this backdoor should be honored as an absolutely insane play and will go down as one of the best games in Worlds history. The fact that Smeb just leaves the Shy in the base as Fiora, the cameraman teases everyone. He TPs to help his team end faster because he knows he can't 1v1. That was insane, but KT gets oh so close to completing that incredible comeback. But Jackie Love in Game 5, who's been heavily criticized and scrutinized with the aggressive flash to completely destroy Score and Deft. The backline carry threats for KT instantly getting deleted. And the saddest part is his Penta gets stolen in this one. But that incredible play by Jackie Love to know anytime you see an AD carry aggressively flash and it actually works out, it's almost guaranteed to win you the entire team fight. Grabs the triple kill, then they're hanging out in the Kindred ult. Only ends up with a quadra kill, which is disappointing, but they would turn that into a Baron, and that would quickly snowball that 5th and decisive game for IG. They played a suffocating game. They played KT against KT in that 5th game. I did not expect them to bounce back. You thought for sure this was the turnaround for KT when they win that insane Game 3, a stomp in Game 4. You pretty much write it off. All right, KT's winning Game 5. IG put up a good fight, but KT comes away with it. But it's not the case, and an unsung hero you probably didn't expect to come up huge is the likes of Jackie Love. And he, across that entire series, played pretty darn well. And that aggressive flash, just love seeing that. He's been criticized for doing that in ways that result in him dying instantly, or inting, if you will, but it is on point in that case. He secures the win for IG, and just like that, one of the tournament favorites are ousted before they even get into the top 4, and the upsets only got crazier after that game. Obviously, you had G2 versus RNG, which on paper, pretty much everyone, including myself when we did our previews last week, did not give G2 much of a chance against the real tournament favorites in RNG, but that's exactly what they did. They played one of the best of 5s that we've seen in 2018, one of the best of 5s, very back and forth, and kudos to G2 because they played fantastically. They played like they have the entire tournament. You thought that RNG would just force these 5v5s and kind of destroy and disrupt the split pushing that G2 and G2 did throughout the entire event, but that wasn't the case, and G2 really showed up big. Perks performing on the international stage. There's so many guys you can highlight in this matchup. Obviously, Perks is the standout guy for his incredible LeBlanc performance in Game 5. but I want to narrow in and give some shout outs to Wadid and the rest of the G2 lineup for their wards. Those are the key plays that we're looking at in that 5th game. Uzi just could not click on any Thresh Lantern because they were body blocking. Everyone was dropping wards countless times, and that's got to be a tilter. It started from the very beginning. Finally, in Game 5, the bottom lane for G2 gets a little bit of jungle attention, and they grab first blood. It was constantly Ming just sitting there. Click the lantern, man, but he's unable to because the warding is on point. Pink wards, trinket wards, whatever it is, just slap it all on the lantern. And Uzi had a tough Game 5. You were expecting, especially because RNG was up 2-1. You thought this series was done. Even if G2 was up 2-1 in this scenario, you'd probably still be favoring RNG pretty heavily, but it's G2 who comes back to win 2 in a row to take this one, and those Thresh Lantern plays were absolutely amazing. Wadid deserves a whole lot of credit, and Uzi, the king, is dethroned before he even gets to the top 4. G2 across the board, everyone played out of their minds in that series. Perks, again, can't talk about it enough. He was even flabbergasted in that post-game interview with Shox. Obviously, there's been a whole lot of pressure on him specifically. The storyline throughout the entire year has been, this is Perks' team. He is G2. 4 new members on the squad. The only returning member. How many times have you heard that said on one of the broadcasts? So he has clearly felt that pressure, and it's got to feel fantastic now that they're going all the way to the semifinals. Something he couldn't even get close to doing the last 2 years with those iterations of G2. So he's got to be happy. Wonder completely outclassed Let Me in that top lane. Jankos really showed up. He had struggled in the group stage to close out for G2, but he really showed up against Karsa or MLXG. It didn't matter who he was up against. He performed super well. But the bot lane is who I really want to focus on, of Hjarnan and Wadid, because obviously we know how focused and how bot-centric RNG has played the entire year, more so than any other team on the planet. It's funnel the resources into Uzi, camp that lane, get them ahead, and Hjarnan and Wadid have been looked at as the weak links of G2, although not recently because they've been showing up at Worlds. But man, did they show up in this series. They were camped with the jungler and going up against the best player of 2018, and Hjarnan in particular showed up and held his own against the Mad Dog, the king of the bottom lane. Just look at that KDA in a 5-game set, and these weren't blowout games. They were close back and forth affairs, and 12-2.3 is absolutely insane. Sure, Uzi did a little bit more damage, and the CS numbers, Uzi still had over 11 CS per game in this matchup, but the next highest on his team was 8.5 for Xiaohu, which is just insane. Hjarnan had 10.1 CS per minute, and Perks had more than him at 10.2. Wonder right there with 9.8. So clearly the emphasis was still all on Uzi, whereas G2 was much more of a well-rounded team. And you look at that first blood victim, all the attention that the G2 bottom lane was getting from the RNG junglers. They did not get first blooded once in this series. So huge shout out to the likes of Hjarnan and Wadid. Hopefully they have fully shut up the haters now, saying that these guys are the weak links of G2 because they stepped up huge against RNG and just allowed for Perks and Wonder to really take over these games, and that's exactly what they did. This is probably the biggest upset, maybe in the history of competitive League of Legends. Definitely at this year's Worlds, definitely of 2018. We'd have to go back and really look at the history books to see if it is actually the biggest one, but I'd be hard-pressed to see an argument against it right now. So G2 are really rolling going forward. They're going to come in as underdogs yet again against Invictus in their semifinals matchup. But what's to say they couldn't do it again? Have an all-EU final or an NA versus EU final. Either way, that would be incredible. And Invictus, a team that hasn't been able to win, even though they've gone 18-1 in back-to-back LPL splits. Any storyline going forward at Worlds is absolutely amazing. Coming up after the break, we'll take a deeper look into C9's win against Afrika. It doesn't matter if you ban the Zillion, you can't ban everything against C9. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to League on Lock, taking a look at the absolute ridiculous weekend that was quarterfinal action from Worlds. And Cloud9 versus Afrika, if you said heading into this match that it would be a 3-0 sweep with chances in game 1 and then kind of a blowout in game 2 and then some questionable throws in game 3, you would say, yep, that sounds about right. But Cloud9 had a good run. They got out of the group of death, and then they lost in a best-of-5 against the Korean squad. As expected, you wouldn't expect Cloud9 to be the one 3-0ing Afrika in that fashion. And at times, the Afrika Freaks looked lost and scared. They looked like an NA team playing passively, and even Jensen said in an interview that he felt the nerves out of Kuro during that laning phase and said, and I quote, he was playing not to lose rather than to win, which is exactly what NA has done in the past, 6 world championships, save for Cloud9, who are always NA's last hope, and boy, are they very hopeful at this year's Worlds, going to the semifinals. But obviously, the key play to look at comes in that third game, because that was when Afrika actually had a solid early game. They had a sizable lead. If they win that game, who knows how this series changes. But of course, I'm talking about the Baron steal from Licorice on the Ornn. It's just Licorice and Jensen contesting this fight. And obviously, it's an incredibly early Baron, so it's going to be doing a whole lot of damage, and it does exactly that. And Jensen, by the way, they still get 2 kills out of this, and of course, the insane Baron steal that Licorice has, but Jensen almost gets a little bit more. It starts with this 3-man knockup combined with Jensen as soon as he gets in there. They're going to take down Spirit to force out this smite, and Licorice just waits and waits until it gets to, about 16 health. And then he just smacks it with his hammer. An auto attack steal with 4 Afrika members still in the pit. They grab another kill for good measures. And I mean, Afrika gets that Baron. They're going to snowball that game. Svenskeren loves it. Even after that, Cloud9 steamrolls more out of that. Sven comes in with the Nocturne ult to clean up another kill on Kramer. Meanwhile, Sneaky, fresh Baron buffed up, gets another turret. They even up the gold after that when they were down about 2,000. Afrika probably snowballs that to a 5,000 gold lead and probably are able to close out that game from there. But that steal from Licorice, absolutely insane. Maybe poorly played, could have been handled a little bit better by the likes of Afrika in that matchup. But man, Licorice has been incredible this entire tournament, and he was on tank and Aatrox duty. He played Ornn, 2 games of Aatrox in this match, and he was fantastic. Sure, he lost lane a few times to Keen in that top lane. And I just want to say, shout-outs to Keen, who did his very best to 1v9 in this series. He had the most damage done in the entire game. 3 games in a row, 3 losses for his squad. He was playing the Victor, he played the Gangplank. He was trying his damnedest. He did a few turnaround plays on that Gangplank, turning around some 1v2 ganks, resulting in kills. So you can't say he's the Dade Award winner for not even getting to semis as a Korean team, because he still finished first in his group. He turned it around the second week of group stage, and in this quarterfinal set, he was absolutely fantastic. Far and away the best player on Afrika. So Keen, a little bit of a sour taste to leave the World Championship, but at least you played your heart out and tried your very best to carry Afrika here. A few numbers from this set. Turrets, 27-7 in favor of Cloud9, 3-0 Barons, in part thanks to that insane steal by Licorice, and 8-3 in Dragons. 2018 Worlds, Cloud9 has played 37 different champions. Afrika banned Zillion in all these games, and it didn't matter. Even Sneaky brought out the Lucian 3 games in a row, something he hadn't played the entire event. He was the last member to kind of pick something that you weren't expecting. Lucian has been picked, obviously, at Worlds, but not by him, and he goes 3-0 on it. So Cloud9 off to the semifinals for the first time NA, first time at semis. I'm not counting Season 1 Worlds. So congratulations to Cloud9. And with that, it signals the end of the LCK at Worlds 2018. They're gone. Kapush. Vanished. No Faker, no semis, no Worlds. It's going to be a new region lifting the trophy for the first time since Season 2. And Yamato Cannon's already looking ahead to 2019. He tweeted what the new SKT will be like and says, Genji, Kingzone, and KT are all open. The contracts are open, and of course, Griffin and the likes of Damwon, who are coming in for 2019. There's definitely going to be some roster shuffling going on in the 2019 LCK season. Obviously, with the way Gen G ended, you kind of thought that this is definitely going to be a big change for them. Ambition maybe going to retire. Who knows what will happen with the likes of Crown, because he's going to get a lot of backlash for his performance. QV, that bot lane, you got to think Ruler and Core JJ will want to stick together. But obviously, what this Worlds has done for Faker's legacy is prove that he's just still the best. He's still the greatest. Maybe Korea was only good because he was making them better. SKT was pushing them. So what is SKT going to do in 2019? Because for contracts that they have that are going past November this year, Blank and Untara. That's it. Those are the only contracts they have locked up. Faker, Bang, everyone else not named. Blank and Untara. Obviously, those aren't the two guys you're going to be rebuilding around, so you can expect a whole lot of roster moves heading forward for SKT. You thought some bigger ones might come heading into 2018, but that was not the case. 2019, you'll definitely be seeing either probably you keep Bang and Effort and Faker, of course, and then you definitely need a new top laner and a new jungler coming out of SKT. SKT Keen sounds pretty darn good. The likes of Tarzan has been referenced, but Griffin are under contract till 2019. Can't see them parting ways with Tarzan. Maybe Score, but you got to think that he's going to be retiring. But it's the end of the LCK in 2018, but I'm definitely expecting them to bounce back when it comes to 2019. Coming up after the break, the final quarterfinal from the weekend, Fnatic. And Reckless returns to his MVP form. Hello friends, and welcome back to League on Lock. The least surprising matchup from the weekend was Fnatic against EDG. Fnatic, the only one seed to actually win their quarterfinal, although it was maybe a little bit more difficult than most people were anticipating. They definitely could have lost a few of those games, and if you look specifically at Game 3, that's where we've got the big turnaround or series-changing play, because it was EDG who, again, had a pretty massive lead, and this was the game that Fnatic had no business winning, but the comeback, turnaround, whatever you want to call it, started with a pretty serious misplay from iBoy on his Kai'Sa. He's been the most aggressive AD carry at the entire tournament, and in this play, it turns out to bite him in the butt. And EDG, look at how big their gold lead is here, and the question is, why are you team fighting here? Because the Dragon's already gone over to Fnatic. They lose Mako pretty quickly, so you say, okay, that's fine. You got the Dragon, you got that, that's fine. We still have a big gold lead, but they want to keep pressing 5v4, and eventually, iBoy's gonna land, and he's used his flash already, by the way. He lands the W, and then he ults into 5 Fnatic members. Scout can't really follow up on that. Ray's already in there. It ends up being a triple kill for Reckless, then they grab the Baron, so why are you going in here, iBoy? If you just look right when he ults in here, he is face first in 5 Fnatic members. Reckless is at full health. Sure, there's a couple of low health members that maybe his Q finishes off, but he doesn't even get to use an ability because there's so much CC on the side of Fnatic. They instantly blow him up, and then it is just cleanup duty for Reckless. He can flash aggressively at the end to kill Scout. That's a Baron for Fnatic, and that was the beginning of the comeback. It still went back and forth for a few times. EDG did grab another Baron of their own on that side, but you got to imagine they don't take that fight. The comeback does not get rolling as quickly for Fnatic. EDG should be able, they're still in the driver's seat, even if they lose that Infernal Dragon and Mako goes down. They are still very much in control of that game, up over 5,000 gold. Maybe they close that one up. They go 2-1 against Fnatic. I still think Fnatic comes back to win that series in 5, but who knows? Maybe you're looking at 4 second seeds advancing to the semifinals if iBoy doesn't get a little bit too aggressive. That's kind of the opposite of that play we highlighted out of Jackie Love for Invictus against KT. To win that series, iBoy had a big hand in losing that 3rd game for EDG with that play. And of course, Fnatic completes the comeback. That game was much longer. There were many more plays you could have looked at, but I think that was the key one to look in on for the result of Fnatic's comeback. Because usually, when you have big comebacks, it's a combination of you playing fantastic and, of course, the team that's leading having some questionable throws, and that was definitely one of them for EDG. But with all these upsets, Fnatic have a legitimate chance and should probably be them, along with Invictus, the favorites to win the entire tournament. And how incredible would it be if the two teams from Group D met in the finals? But we already saw Fnatic beat them twice, so I think Fnatic are favorites to win the entire event going forward. And as we advance to the semifinals with no one left from the LCK, we take a look back at our regional standings so far at Worlds 2018. And me, oh my, not what you would have expected coming into this event. Obviously, Korea has been the dominant force across the entire competitive scene since Season 2, really, even though they lost Worlds then. Since Season 3, they've been the dominant force. But here at 2018, 12-14, a sub-500 record. Even North America better than them. Europe sitting at the top with the best win percentage. China 20-14. And at 2018 Worlds, the West, so EU and NA, had 7 wins against the LCK. They were 7-4 against them. Since 2014, the West only has 9 wins over the last 4 World Championships against the LCK. So they almost matched that in one event alone. Clearly, the LCK is not quite at the level that we're accustomed to seeing and have seen from them over recent years. And maybe if you have the likes of Griffin at this event, that changes a little bit. But obviously, NA and EU have decided we don't need to play scared of the LCK. And the LCK haven't quite adapted to this skirmish meta where you're fighting all over the place and just scrapping left, right, and center. They still want to play games slow and drag it out, and that's just not how the boys are playing League of Legends here in 2018, and that's why they're not here. They're gone. Obviously, the Korean backlash is going to be harsh towards them when they don't even have a team representing at semifinals. The last time that happened, by the way, was Season 1. When there was no Korean team in the semifinals. Season 1, because no one was there. All these records, basically, that are being set here at 2018, you have to go back to Season 1, which wasn't really a real Worlds when you don't have the likes of China and Korea even participating. So the fact that that's where all these records are being shattered are absolutely insane. And one more shout out to Cloud9. Got a ridiculous number. Since 2014, Cloud9 has 23 wins at the World Championship, which is pretty good. The rest of NA in that span, so 2 teams every year, have 26. They have 3 more wins than Cloud9 does, which is absolutely incredible. 7 wins so far at 2018 for Cloud9. And if Fnatic can come away with the win, it's still a big if. They still have a long road to get through. They're putting themselves up there as probably a top 3 League of Legends organization of all time. That's right, of all time. But they got to win Worlds to do that. Although even if they get to the finals, you could definitely make a case. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.